2009. A Tangled Tale by Lewis Carroll. Chapter 11. Appendix. "A knot!" said Alice. "Oh, do let me help to undo it." Answers to Knot 1. Problem. 2 travelers spend from 3 o'clock till 9 in walking along a level road, up a hill, and home again, their pace on the level being 4 miles an hour, uphill 3, and downhill 6. Find distance walked, also, within half an hour, time of reaching top of hill. Answer: 24 miles, 6:30. Solution. A level mile takes 1/4 of an hour, uphill 1/3, downhill 1/6. Hence, to go and return over the same mile, whether on the level or on the hillside, takes half an hour. Hence, in 6 hours they went 12 miles out and 12 back. If the 12 miles out had been nearly all level, they would have taken a little over 3 hours. If nearly all uphill, a little under 4. Hence, 3½ hours must be within 1/2 an hour of the time taken in reaching the peak. Thus, as they started at 3, they got there within half an hour of 6:30. 27 answers have come in. Of these, 9 are right, 16 partially right, and 2 wrong. The 16 give the distance correctly, but they have failed to grasp the fact that the top of the hill might have been reached at any moment between 6 o'clock and 7. The 2 wrong answers are from Gertie Vernon and A Nihilist. The former makes the distance 23 miles, while her revolutionary companion puts it at 27. Gertie Vernon says, they had to go 4 miles along the plain, and got to the foot of the hill at 4 o'clock. They might have done so, I grant, but you have no ground for saying they did so. It was 7½ miles to the top of the hill, and they reached that at 7:15 o'clock. Here you go wrong in your arithmetic, and I must, however reluctantly, bid you farewell. 7½ miles at 3 miles an hour would not require 2 hours and 3/4. A Nihilist says, let x denote a whole number of miles, y the number of hours to hilltop. Therefore, 3y equals the number of miles to hilltop, and x minus 3y equals the number of miles on the other side. You bewilder me. The other side of what? Of the hill, you say. But then, how did they get home again? However, to accommodate your views, we will build a new hostelry at the foot of the hill on the opposite side, and also assume, what I grant you is possible, though it is not necessarily true, that there was no level road at all. Even then you go wrong. You say, 1. Y equals 6 minus the quantity x minus 3y divided by 6. 2. X over 4½ equals 6. I grant you 1, but I deny 2. It rests on the assumption that to go part of the time at 3 miles an hour and the rest at 6 miles an hour comes to the same result as going the whole time at 4½ miles an hour. But this would only be true if the part were an exact half, that is, if they went uphill for 3 hours and downhill for the other 3, which they certainly did not do. The 16 who are partially right are Agnes Bailey, F.K., Fifi, G.E.B., H.P., Kit, M.E.T., Maisie, a mother's son, Nairam, a Redruthian, a socialist, Spear Maiden, T.B.C., Vis Inertiae, and Yak. Of these, Fk, Fifi, TBC, and vis inertiae do not attempt the second part at all. Fk and Hp give no working. The rest make particular assumptions, such as that there was no level road, that there were 6 miles of level road, and so on, all leading to particular times being fixed for reaching the hilltop. The most curious assumption is that of Agnes Bailey, who says, "Let x equal the number of hours occupied in ascent, then x and a half equals the hours occupied in descent, and 4x over 3 equals the hours occupied on the level." I suppose you were thinking of the relative rates uphill and on the level, which we might express by saying that, if they went x miles uphill in a certain time, they would go 4x over 3 miles on the level in the same time. You have, in fact, assumed that they took the same time on the level that they took in ascending the hill. Fifi assumes that, when the aged knight said they had gone 4 miles in the hour on the level, he meant that 4 miles was the distance gone, not merely the rate. This would have been, if Fifi will excuse the slang expression, a sell, ill-suited to the dignity of the hero. And now descend, ye classic 9, who have solved the whole problem, and let me sing your praises. Your names are Blythe, E.W., L.B., a Marlborough Boy, O.V.L., Putney Walker, Rose, Seabreeze, Simple Susan, and Money Spinner. These last 2 I count as one, as they sent a joint answer. Rose and Simple Susan and Co. do not actually state that the hilltop was reached sometime between 6 and 7, but, as they have clearly grasped the fact that a mile ascended and descended took the same time as 2 level miles, I mark them as right. A Marlborough Boy and Putney Walker deserve honorable mention for their algebraical solutions, being the only 2 who have perceived that the question leads to an indeterminate equation. E.W. brings a charge of untruthfulness against the aged knight, a serious charge, for he was the very pink of chivalry. She says, "According to the data given, the time at the summit affords no clue to the total distance. It does not enable us to state precisely to an inch how much level and how much hill there was on the road." "Fair damsel," the aged knight replies, "if, as I surmise, thy initials denote early womanhood, bethink thee that the word enable is thine, not mine. I did but ask the time of reaching the hilltop as my condition for further parley. If now thou wilt not grant that I am a truth-loving man, then will I affirm that those same initials denote envenomed wickedness." Class list. First, a Marlborough Boy, Putney Walker. Second, Blythe, E.W., L.B., O.V.L., Rose, Seabreeze, Simple Susan, and Money Spinner. Blythe has made so ingenious an addition to the problem, and Simple Susan and Co. have solved it in such tuneful verse, that I record both their answers in full. I have altered a word or 2 in Blythe's, which I trust she will excuse. It did not seem quite as clear as it stood. "Yet stay," said the youth, as a gleam of inspiration lighted up the relaxing muscles of his quiescent features. "Stay. Methinks it matters little when we reach that summit, the crown of our toil. For in the space of time wherein we clambered up 1 mile and bounded down the same on our return, we could have trudged the twain on the level. We have plodded, then, 24 miles in these 6 mortal hours, for never a moment did we stop for catching a fleeting breath or for gazing on the scene around." "Very good," said the old man. 12 miles out and 12 miles in, and we reached the top some time between 6 and 7 of the clock. Now mark me. For every 5 minutes that had fled since 6 of the clock when we stood on yonder peak, so many miles had we toiled upwards on the dreary mountain side. The youth moaned and rushed into the hostel. Blythe. The elder and the younger knight, they sallied forth at 3. How far they went on level ground, it matters not to me. What time they reached the foot of hill, when they began to mount, are problems which I hold to be of very small account. The moment that each waved his hat upon the topmost peak, to trivial query such as this, no answer will I seek. Yet can I tell the distance well they must have travelled over, on hill and plain 'twixt 3 and 9, the miles were 24. 4 miles an hour their steady pace along the level track, 3 when they climbed, but 6 when they came swiftly striding back adown the hill, and little skill it needs, methinks, to show, up hill and down together told, 4 miles an hour they go. For whether long or short the time upon the hill they spent, 2/3 were passed in going up, 1/3 in the descent. 2/3 at 3, 1/3 at 6, if rightly reckoned o'er, will make 1 whole at 4. The tale is tangled now no more. Simple Susan, Money Spinner. End of chapter 11.